New York City in the 1970s was a dynamic and transformative period marked by a unique blend of challenges and cultural advancements. Throughout the entire decade, the city faced economic struggles, social unrest, and a deteriorating urban landscape. However, amidst these difficulties, New York City also experienced a vibrant cultural renaissance that left an indelible mark on its history. The 1970s brought forth a period of immense economic challenges for New York City, leaving a lasting impact on its residents. The city faced a severe financial crisis, which meant there was a lack of money to meet the needs of its people. As a result, the city had to make deep budget cuts, resulting in significant reductions in important public services that New Yorkers relied on daily. Schools struggled to provide quality education, hospitals faced strain, and other essential services were scaled back, affecting the lives of countless individuals. The economic downturn also had far-reaching consequences for the job market. Companies faced financial hardships and were forced to lay off employees in large numbers. Many hardworking people found themselves unemployed and struggling to make ends meet. The loss of jobs harmed families who suddenly faced economic uncertainty, making it difficult to support themselves and their loved ones. The economic challenges harmed the city's safety and overall quality of life, too. High crime rates became a pressing issue, with muggings, robberies, and drug-related offenses becoming all too common. The streets of New York City became a source of fear and danger for its residents, who had to be cautious and aware of their surroundings at all times. Furthermore, the economic struggles contributed to urban decay, especially in neglected neighborhoods. Buildings fell apart, with ruined interiors and crumbling exteriors becoming common scenes. Over time, the infrastructure got worse, with roads and bridges being two examples. Many urban residents felt hopeless and depressed, and the visual breakdown of the city further increased their feelings of despair. The financial crisis also resulted in the significant departure of middle-class residents and businesses. Many people and businesses have moved outside of the city, typically to the suburbs, in search of stability and better possibilities. The financial crisis was made worse by this movement since tax revenue drastically fell. Besides affecting the city's economy, the loss of citizens and companies also left the city with a lost feeling of energy and a sense of sorrow. At that time, drug abuse, particularly the use of heroin, was prevalent, causing a sharp rise in criminal activities. The streets were becoming more and more dangerous as criminals engaged in violent acts to control their drug territories and protect their illegal operations. Neighborhoods fell under the influence of powerful gangs and organized crime groups, such as the notorious Italian-American mafia families, who perpetuated an environment of fear and lawlessness. The Son of Sam terrified the city with this background of criminality. Between 1976 and 1977, the serial killer, whose true name was David Berkowitz, went on a horrifying riot of random assaults. Because the killer preyed on the innocent, terrifying New Yorkers with his crimes and putting the entire city on edge. The public experienced a spike of nervousness and dread due to the widespread fear of becoming the next victim. The combination of rampant drug abuse, the presence of powerful criminal organizations, and the horrifying crimes committed by the Son of Sam created a climate of tension and insecurity throughout the city. Residents had to navigate the streets with caution, constantly aware of the potential dangers lurking nearby. These incidents left a lasting mark on New Yorkers' public consciousness due to the pain they created as well as the relief they caused. Drug-related offenses, robberies, and criminals were all too common, making locals and visitors fearful and uneasy. The city's subway system, which was once a busy and effective mode of transit, was neglected and in bad shape. Walls plastered with graffiti and windows continuously smashed, giving the subway vehicles and stations a run-down aspect. The idea that the subway was unsafe increased as a result of this deterioration, preventing many people from using it and further isolating already impoverished districts. Law enforcement agencies faced daunting challenges in their efforts to combat crime during this period. The police force found themselves overwhelmed by the rising criminal activities, leading to longer response times and limited resources for crime prevention. The sheer volume of crime strained the system, making it difficult to maintain order and safety throughout the city. The public's trust in law enforcement was tested as they witnessed the struggles faced by the police force. Some residents felt frustrated by the mounting crime rates, and they perceived a lack of effective measures to address them. This strain on the relationship between law enforcement and the community added to the complexity of the public safety challenges during the 1970s. The surge in crime rates, the deteriorating conditions of the subway system, and the challenges faced by law enforcement created an environment of unease and uncertainty. However, it is important to note that significant efforts were made in subsequent years to address these issues and improve public safety in the city. One neighborhood that bore the brunt of urban blight was the South Bronx. It became synonymous with decay and poverty, with numerous buildings burned out and left in ruins. The streets were marked by a sense of hopelessness as poverty became rampant, and residents struggled to make ends meet. The housing crisis exacerbated the situation further. Many New Yorkers found themselves living in overcrowded apartments that were in desperate need of repairs. Dilapidated buildings became a common sight, with landlords neglecting their properties due to financial difficulties. This meant that residents had to endure substandard living conditions, including inadequate heating, plumbing issues, and other safety concerns. Surprisingly, even after the challenges, the 1970s marked a period of cultural revival and innovation in New York City. The music scene underwent a significant transformation with the emergence of punk rock and disco. Legendary venues like CBGB became hubs for punk bands, including iconic acts like the Ramones and Blondie. Meanwhile, in the Bronx, a new genre called hip-hop was born, spearheaded by trailblazers like DJ Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa, and Grandmaster Flash, who laid the groundwork for a global cultural movement. The city drew creatives and artists looking for inspiration in the chaos. The rebirth of street art and graffiti contributed to the lively resurgence in the art scene. Visionary artists like Jean-Michel Basquiat and Keith Haring introduced their distinctive styles to the streets and permanently altered the appearance of the city. These artists would go on to win acclaim from all across the world for their groundbreaking works. New York City's fashion industry also thrived during this time. Designers such as Calvin Klein and Donna Karan got famous, redefining American fashion and cementing the city's status as a global fashion capital. Their innovative designs and entrepreneurial spirit influenced the industry for years to come. Disco culture was also rising at that time. Studio 54 was the epitome of New York City's disco culture in the 1970s. Located in Manhattan, this legendary nightclub attracted a diverse crowd of celebrities, artists, and socialites who sought out its electric atmosphere. The club's reputation for extravagant parties and non-stop dancing made it a magnet for those seeking an unforgettable night out. Entering Studio 54 was like stepping into a different world. The dance floor pulsated with vibrant lights, while the thumping disco beats filled the air, enticing everyone to let loose and embrace the carefree spirit of the era. The club's iconic DJ, the late DJ Steve Rubell, masterfully mixed the latest disco hits, keeping the crowd on their feet until the early morning hours. What made Studio 54 truly special was its exclusivity. The velvet ropes at the entrance were carefully monitored, allowing only the chosen few to step inside. This added to its allure and created an air of mystique around the club. Once inside, guests were treated to a spectacle of outrageous costumes, glamorous outfits, and extravagant performances. New York City in the 1970s was a dynamic center for political and social movements too. Civil rights activists continued their fight for equality, demanding justice and an end to racial discrimination. The city served as a crucial battleground for the ongoing struggle for civil rights. In the wake of these Stonewall riots that took place in 1969, the gay rights movement gained momentum in the 1970s. LGBTQ+ activists became more visible and vocal, organizing protests and advocating for equal rights and protections. Organizations like the Gay Liberation Front and the Gay Activists Alliance emerged, aiming to challenge societal norms and fight for the rights of the LGBTQ+ community. During this time, the women's freedom movement also experienced tremendous growth. Feminist groups and individuals joined together to plan rallies, marches, and awareness-raising events. Women pushed for equal pay, access to birth control, and an end to discrimination based on gender. Famous feminists like Gloria Steinem and Betty Friedan pushed to spread the feminist cause. In New York City, activism was present for a variety of other social causes besides the feminist and civil rights movements. As people expressed their opposition to the conflict and stood for peace, protests against the Vietnam War attracted sizable numbers. Concerns about pollution and urban development sparked protests and efforts to preserve the city's green spaces, which contributed to the growth of environmental activism. So guys, that was it for this video. What did you think about it? Let us know in the comments section below. If you are new to our channel, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell to get notified about our latest videos. Thanks for watching!